Yeah, I mean, are you your system? Hello?
What do
Can
you
you hear
say?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I said, do you have your system, your laptop with you?
Yeah, I have VS Code on my laptop.
I mean, like your laptop, is it with you currently?
Yes, it's with me, but it's low. The power is low.
Oh, okay.
But you can continue. I will do whatever you do. I can practice it from when it's on.
Okay. I just wanted to first just talk about Git. Might see. Let me see. That is Git. I want to believe we have Git installed. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, I have Git installed on my system. Git
Okay.
Bash. I have Git Bash.
How about you, one? Okay. I said, how about you? Do you have Git installed?
I have it. I have it. I have it.
Okay, this is my network wants to be jumpy today. So please bear with me. All right. So let's just go ahead into Node. So Node.js. I want to believe we've installed Node.js. At least. If you've installed Node.js, when you do this, but let me just point. Should we've all installed Node.js? Don't let me even bother going to that part. Okay, this sound also very. Okay, you know what? Let me point to it. So obviously, basically, if you are starting in Node.js, this is where everybody's going to be starting from. Okay, like I've said, my network seems very slow. I hope you guys are hearing me. Just give me. Yeah, okay. So if you are starting um, Node.js, when we come here to install Node.js, so you just go ahead and install Node.js, then follow your basic um, wizard prompts. That is for Windows users, and go ahead and install. Okay, so now let me just go into terminal to see one or two things. So in my VS Code, so let me open up terminal. Alright. So if you have Node.js installed, when you run Node V, it should give you your version of Node that has been installed. As you can see, mine is version 18.13. So the latest version is 20. I can be updating that later. But what we have now is kind of like the standard Node version. So we can work with it. Also, when you install Node, it comes with npm. So an npm like like the names sounds, is basically our node package manager. Um, it helps us in handling packages. Yes. So I have npm. So if you have these two showing, giving you results in your terminal, we are good to go. So okay, for the next step, what is Node? Basically, Node is like I've been saying earlier, Node.js is a runtime. So basically, before Node.js, the way JavaScript or where JavaScript was run was basically on the browsers, and that was possible because we had JavaScript engines. And one of the most common JavaScript engine, which is what Chrome, that is Google. Uh, their open source engine is what we call V8. So V8 is kind of like very popular, and V8 is kind of like very significant since studying Node. V8. So the JavaScript engine basically is just allows you to compile JavaScript code and ensure it executes the code basically. Now this V8 basically sits at the core of our Node.js. An interesting thing is V8 is written in C++. So let me point us to something quickly. Here we go. So just give me a second. All right. This came out extremely slow today. So okay, this is what I want to show us. Just a second. Yeah, can you see my browser? Can
Yes,
anybody
yes.
hear me? Oh, okay,
I can see
perfect.
your browser.
Okay, yeah. So this is what I wanted to show. So V8, like I was explaining, V8 is written in C++. I just want us to take note of some few information that they have in the repository. All right. Okay, honestly, I'm really sorry for this. I don't know why my system just picked today to be annoying. Okay. Oh, they removed it from the docs. Let me see. Okay. This is what I want to show us basically. So V8, yeah, like I've said, is Google's open source JavaScript engine. Um, V8 implements ECMAScript. Basically, that is the body handling the whole JavaScript uh, maintenance. Now V8 is written in C++ and is used in Google Chrome. So this kind of like is the major point I want to point us to. These two. So it's written in C++. V8 can run standalone or can be embedded into any C++ application. So yeah, this is the concept of this is where Node.js kind of originates from. So like I've said, JavaScript is a V8 is a JavaScript engine, right? So, and our JavaScript engine, basically, like I've also explained, is helps us to execute our JavaScript code. So, like I said earlier, back in the days, the only way you could run your JavaScript code was on the browser. But with the help of Node, we can now run JavaScript outside our browser. So the idea is, what made it possible to run JavaScript on the browser? That's what you call a runtime. So the browser, each browser adds what you can call a JavaScript runtime. What it basically constituted of was the engine, like I've showed you. Take, for example, let's take Google Chrome as our point of reference. So they had V8 as the JavaScript engine. Then they had web APIs as will also be included in the runtime to facilitate like an extension of the capabilities that JavaScript can carry out. So basically, when I say the web APIs, I'm talking about things like set timeouts, things like DOM. So basically, those things. Then also the event loop is also included in JavaScript runtime and queues. So what I'm saying in essence is, the reason we were able to run JavaScript on the browser was because there was something called a runtime, and that runtime is concluding basically of about four things like I mentioned: the engine, that is the JavaScript engine, the queues, the web APIs, event loop. So now when we come to Node.js, like I've been hammering, Node.js is not a framework, neither is it a language. It is a runtime. It allows us to run our JavaScript. So Node.js is written in C++, but not C++ alone. Uh, and because it is written in C++, remember when what I showed us in the V8 docs, V8 can be embedded into a code that is written in C++ as well. So because we have part of Node.js written in C++, is why we have the beauty of having V8 helping us to compile our code, basically. JavaScript is not a is not a low-level language per se. It is kind of like an high-level language per se. And when I say it is not a low-level language, I'm saying it can't handle. It wasn't made to handle things like file operations and networking operations. So we had to. The maker of Node.js thought of, okay, how about making these things available for JavaScript, and he went ahead to give us the Node.js runtime. So our Node.js runtime, like I was kind of similar to the browser's runtime. We have our V8, which is our JavaScript engine. Then we have dependencies, which are written in C++, which help us in handling some uh, handling some base operations, basically, that most of the times you might not interact with. But those dependencies help us in handling those base operations. We also have things like the C++ features. We have the library that gives us functionality, JavaScript functionality. So those few things make up the runtime, which is Node.js, which gives us what we have. How do we run nodes? So like I've shown us, once you have node installed, we are good to go. Okay, so I'm going to open up my terminal once again. Okay, so we have so there are kind of like two ways of running nodes. I'm on my terminal now, and you can run node using the node repo. Node. So all you just do is type node in your terminal, and you have a node shell open for you. And the node repo basically tells you the operation that your node can do. Your node can read A is equals to let's say let's declare, so let A equals that. So this is reading. We can evaluate. So we can do 1 plus 2, and it gives you that value. We can print. So we have A up there, so we can do a console.log A. Apologies. So yeah, you have that. Then you have loops. Basically, you can just basically repeat the same process. Once, like I've said, you can go ahead and read again. Probably A is equals to IB, and the rest. Let's make it a string. Yeah, so that's the whole process. But obviously, for what we want to do, that is basically for backends. You're likely not going to be doing this a lot. What you want to be doing is you want to be writing your script files. So let's look at how we can run a Node.js file. So let's just do a simple console.log hello world. So to run your Node.js file, you just do nodes. Okay. Apologies. Like I said, my system for some reason I need to go and check if something is up with it. So yeah, we can do this node, then a period, or you can do this node index.js, or better still, just node index. Yeah, you can see it's executing what we have here. So this is possible because by default our Node.js is always going to be looking for an index folder. Index file, pardon me. And it will just pick that index file and run with it. Yeah. But you can explicitly state the name as we've done here and as we've done here. You can decide to omit the extension. If it is a JS file, you can decide to do that and Node is smart enough to include it for you after. Okay, so we have done our basic hello world, right? So let's move on into the concept of, remember I spoke about third-party modules during the first class. Let's move on into the concept of modules. So every file in your Node.js is considered a module. So let's do this. Come to this. So let's just do a simple add const add is equals to oh my goodness, why today of all this? A plus B. Yeah, we're just going to have to work with this. So obviously I want to believe if I run this, if I run nodes, it's only going to be the hello world that will be shown. So how do I get to run this? Well, obviously you can just go ahead and just call the file name as nodes ify.js and node running for you. Okay, you know what? Yeah. So you can go ahead to do that. But what we want to do is we want to understand modules. And basically what we can do is we can do something like this. Modules dot exports. equals to add. Now we can come into our index.js and do let's add a first of all we have to require, so const add is equals to require all right. So I'm going to do, oh my goodness, what have I done wrong today? All right, so let add equals add 2,3. Then let's console log our adder. Okay, on this, obviously, as you can see, the function add that I defined here, which is to add these two numbers and return the value, defined here. So if I run this file, okay, sorry, module.export. Yep, no make that mistake. So let's go back and run our file. Module.export.
I think you should add S to the exports.
Yeah, thank you. Export. Yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah, so we have our so let's do something. Let's go into our debugger. So let me set a breakpoint here. Then let's step into the debugger. Okay, perfect. So looking at this part of the screen, yeah, let's do this. Okay. All right. So yeah, so looking at this part of the screen, so just watch what happens once I step. Okay, first of all, as you can see here, our current directory name is. Let me extend this further. Yeah. So our current directory name is class2. Yeah, that's the folder I'm in. The file name is index.js, right? So once I yeah. So once I step into okay, I'm going to have to start. Let me start this all over again. Yeah. So oh, patience. Thank you. Okay, so basically what I wanted to show us was, so you observe that once I stepped to that require, it brought me to this function that we defined here. So it's showing me, okay, it's now calling this function. Let me just step over. All right. So we're back to, so observe our require just picked up that file. So which sees it as a module, runs what is inside it, then it steps out of it, then it comes back and it continues with the other what's it called, the other processes. So it picked up our add, got the function, and it saved it as this constant here. Then when we called it further down here, it obviously knew what it was about to do. So as you can see here, inside our variables, one of our local variables, we have add, and here it's pointing to what we had inside our if, basically. So that is how we have that. So that kind of like gives us the concept of modules. So every file in Node.js is always seen as a module. So you can always bear that in mind. So, and the way we interact with each modules is as we have done here, by exporting whatever necessary value it is you want to export from the modules. Okay, so let me now. All right, I think I can stop this now. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go back into Iffy. Inside Iffy, okay. So first of all, the reason now this require is a method that is given to us in Node.js. Um, it is it's a global variable. Remember, I don't know if you remember when we were looking at our debugger, you must have seen this. So we have the way Node.js runs is it does this. So I'm going to delete this. So basically, this is the way Node.js runs. So every file, like we said, every file, it treats every file as a module. And once it's treating every file as a module, it's giving each file its own scope. That means that whatever is declared in that file, whatever variables are declared in that file is not shared with any other one except your explicitly shared. So now this is how our Node.js file basically runs. And what it does is, so check this out. Let's say I'm going to pass a function, an argument here. Let's call it name, and I'll console that name. All right. So now, the way I'm going to pass this function, pass that argument in is from here. So let me just do this. All right. And I'll run this. Okay. So now you see this value that I passed in here. It's what it consoled for us here. So basically, passed in these arguments into this our function scope. So now, what I want to point my to is the fact that Node.js by default has five global variables that it is always passing into every file. So each of these files now they have a global variable. We have this, their name. We have file name. We have our module. We have our exports. Then we have require. So this require. So when require, just spinning it off from anywhere. Parameter for us, which we're now using to call the values. All right. So that kind of handles what I wanted to explain on modules. So let's just move on to looking at built-in modules that we have. But before looking at built-in modules, let's just touch on different ways of exporting. So we looked at one way of exporting. Export methods. All right. So you want to export from a module or from a file. You have this option where you can just module or export. directly call your module.export. All right. So directly call. So let me go ahead and export from our exports. Yeah, and I'm going to run this file again, and I have broken something again. Oh, okay. Let me tell you where to find the file properly. All right, so our adder is working. So that is one method of exporting where you call your module to export. Like I've said, this module is part of the things that Nodejs passes to us. So and it has an object, a property called export. So you just pass in into that property exports that anytime you require it, require knows okay, it's speaking from the property exports, and it just saves it into whatever you save it into. So let's now check another method. So yeah, okay, you're exporting. So we're exporting the same thing, but instead of directly adding our module exports to it, we can do this. So we give our export a name, then can just go ahead and add that name into our module.export object. And if we run this file again, it should be good to go still. All right. So that's one method. That is the second method. Let's go to third method. Yeah. In case we are exporting multiple files, I mean multiple functions. So yeah, so we should be good to go because we have our ads kind of similar to what we did earlier. But in this case now we're exporting it as an object. We're exporting it as an object. So that means inside here, if I'm to run this, it's going to break because I am not properly, I haven't properly defined how it's supposed to uh, handle what it is receiving. Because I'm exporting an object actually this time, not a function. So what I can do is I can give this another name. Let's call this um, OP, as in operand. Let me call it operand. Yeah. So then I can do this dot add, and let's duplicate. Or instead of okay, sub, then let's do a sub instead. Right. So now it should be good to go. So we have our exports working properly. So let's just leave it as that. Okay, yeah, then the last one, which is very uncommon, and I don't know, it depends on what you want to do, but conventionally people do not really do this. So it depends on what you want to do. So like I explained, we have remember our Node.js is passing to us 5 parameters, and export is one of those parameters. So yeah, we can call our exports. So we do exports dot add. So if you run it, it's going to give us the same result we've been seeing so far. So let's move on from exports. From exporting using our CJS. So yeah, we have been exporting using CJS. So then, well, before I think before 2015, before our ECMAScript came out properly, there was no particular module pattern for our node. So Node was using what we call common JS. So at times, anytime you see a file with an extension .js, that is common JS, or you see with it is going to be using all we've explained here, and in using the file that it is exporting, it's going to be using what we see here require. Well, let's just quickly look at let's now look at the what they call the modern JS format. So I'm going to rename this so that, or you know what? Instead of renaming it, let me just create a new file, maths.mjs. All right. So I'm going to do an import. So importing from, I already have a file called yes modules.mjs. Perfect. Let me see what we have there. All right. So it's basically kind of like the same thing that we've been doing. But yeah, we can see what we are doing here is okay. I am just seeing what have I done here. This is going to throw serious error. Okay, no. But let me first take it from export defaults. I'm going to take this out. So let's say we basically like we've been doing earlier, we have our function const add, and like we said, we're using the MJS format. So how do we import it? Okay, first of all, how are we even exporting it from this file? So we have our const add here. So what we just simply do is we export default add. So keyword and we use the export default. So what you just simply do is once you're exporting default using our MJS, it gives you the privilege of importing whatever is exported as default from that file or from that module. So now we can just go ahead here and kind of like the same thing we've been doing before. Because yeah. All right. Okay, I need to log out. Yeah, so we have basically what we've been doing. Now since we're using export default, using this MJS format, you can change this to whatever it is you want. Let's call it adding. Oh, sorry. So that means yeah, we'll be calling the adding function. Yeah, and it still works. So that's because we're using the default, export default. Yeah, let's go and see another way to export. So we've seen that. Okay, let's take this guy out first. So instead of doing export default as we did there, we can just export directly whatever function it is or whatever variable it is that you want to be exported and come in here. So we're exporting add. And go ahead and yeah, let me be sure what I'm exporting. Okay, apologies. Let's use the sub that way. Oh, my bad. I'm just saying I did that. Okay, yeah. So okay, so to exporting. So once you export it directly, you're exporting this function directly. I just go ahead and import it as it is here from the module. So it gives you, it exports it for you in such a way as like an object, and you can just simply destructure whatever it is has been exported from that file. So let me add this as well so that you can see what I'm saying. Export const ads. So now we have access to our ads. All right. Okay. Then there is just one more. Uh, okay, yeah. There's just one more I wanted to show us. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Yeah. Let's move on from that. We're done. So we're done with adding all these our imports and exports. So let's go into something like module caching. So let's call this module caching. You know what? So that when I want to run it, so let's just call it catch.js. So Nodejs does something very nice for us. Where so let's you know what? So const no. Um, um, what do I want to call this? Okay, let's say super hero. Yeah. All right. Constructor. So we're not doing too much here. So we're going to have a getter and we have a setter. All right. So yeah. So we have these two methods. So let's do something here. Const Batman is equals to new superhero Batman. All right. Okay. I think I should move this from here. So then, yeah. So I want to export this. So I'm going to do export. Sorry. Yeah, we're still using CGS here. So module dot export Batman dot get name.
Please,
No,
can you
sorry.
zoom in a bit?
Oh, okay. In the hold on. Coming.
I think you can just use Control Plus. I think if you zoom.
Yeah. It's better now, right?
It's better like this.
Right. So so we are still kind of like dealing with exports. So now I'm going to import this in index.js. So we're going to go back to using require. All right. So let's call this superhero. All right. So let's run this. So yeah, we get our superhero's name. So how about we now do this? We do a superhero dot set name, Superman. Then we do this. So I expect you to set the name to this. Then you should log out that name that set it to. So let's see. Perfect. So the initial name we had was Batman. Then I set the name to Superman. So interesting stuff. Now let's now do something. I saw their car. I saw it in the jet. I was fine. Superhero. So now, okay, quick question. Can anybody tell me what is going to happen now if I do this? I am requiring that module that we exported the second time, and I want to console the name. So do you know what value is going to give me here? Can anybody just tell me what value is going to give? Guess. Any guess?
Just go back to the previous part. Let me see.
All right. So we have this is the card.js. So this is what I'm exporting. Yeah, so that's what I'm exporting. So I'm exporting that class, a new instance of that class. So and yeah, I'm requiring it all over again. So do we know what value this will be? This
I
particular
think
line.
it's going to return the Batman, or what did you pass into the what you said that is going to return the previous
That
value
is
you
this one.
set. Yes, which is the Batman. That's what it's going to return.
Okay. Maybe shall run them. Maybe run them first. Maybe see it happen. Alright, so it returns Superman. That is the concept of module catching. So what happened is okay, yeah, let's do it this way first. Maybe use debugger check out. So let's run debugger to explain whatever magic is happening here. Okay, yeah, I haven't set any breakpoints yet. Let's set that for now. Okay, so check this out. Alright, okay. Can you open further? Yes, thank you. So yeah, check this out. Okay, yeah, require. So I require as an object called catch, and basically it's just pointing to something random, basically. Yeah, for our catch. So what happened is, so let's just step into the code first. Hey God, my system is a disappointment today. So please bear with me. I honestly do not understand why. So I want to see the variables. Yeah. So yeah, we're in our card.js. Yeah. So Batman, yeah, is undefined. So let's just get it to be defined. Yeah. So we have Batman set to our class has the instance has this Batman set as the name. All right. So yeah, as you can see now, this is what we're exporting right from this class. We can see this. So we have the value Batman, which is a class superhero, which has this name value as Batman. All right. So now, okay, let's step out. Yep. Okay, good. So now we're back into our code. So at the initial stage here, so obviously from what we've seen, what it was exporting was Batman, obviously. So whatever is going to log here is going to be that Batman, right? So yeah, we are fine. So let's just quickly step into the set method and see the value that changed. Let's look at the catch for now temporarily. Our catch is still fine. Our module catch still remains the same. Yep. Okay. Okay. This our new superhero. As you can see, obviously is undefined because we've not read it. So let's just quickly step into the set method. So am I back here again? Why are we back here again? Okay. Let me step over this. Okay, yeah. So let's step into this. Yeah. So our set. Oh God. All right, our set method, yeah. So it's as the argument name is what is being passed. You have that variable being passed, and basically you have the previous value set to Batman. So once it sets it, our name now becomes Superman. Yeah. So our name now becomes Superman, which was what was passed in as well. So let's step out of this. Okay. So yeah, we're back here. So this is where we're actually coming to. So let's step over and get to where we're going to actually. Our new superhero. So currently, let's still look at it. Our still empty. We're still in our index.js, obviously. So now let me step into it. Uh remember earlier here. Sorry. Yeah, earlier here when we stepped in, it took us into the catch file. So let's see what happens here when we step in. So let's step in. Yeah. Did you see it stepped over it? Why? Because Nodejs has kind of played something smart for us, and it has catched our it has catched this module for us, and it just gives us what was being exported earlier. So that is node module catching for you basically. I just wanted to point our mind to that. So it's something very very useful. It's something that Node utilizes across the app to improve performance basically. So that is that for our catching. So now let's get into quickly. Okay, yeah, you can do that now. So let me stop this there. Let's now check out our. I want to do this. So, okay, first of all, before I do, yeah, let's do this. fs.js. So, like I said, I mentioned third-party modules, but in this case here, we've seen modules. We've seen us importing modules that we've exported. That is modules that we've created. Now we want to look at built-in modules basically. Sha. That's what we're about to do now. So const fs is equals to require fs. Okay, let me follow standards. Standard. So what I'm doing here is like you've seen, this is the process of importing a module that I want to use. And the module I want to use is the file system. So like I've explained earlier, remember I said that JavaScript is not uh, a low level language per se that can handle um, file IO and networking operations. So now this is one of the things that Node.js makes available in the runtime for us is certain JS libraries like this, like our FS, which obviously is going to be calling the C++ equivalent, because, like I've said, JavaScript cannot perform most of all these file operations. So we have our FS. Most of the time you're using FS with this. So let's just log out our del name. Log dot. Sorry. CF. Alright. Then the other one which we saw earlier, which is provided globally for us, the file name. I think FS. So the DAR name basically just points to our directory, which is class 2. And the file name points to current file that we're working on. Alright. So now let's look at FS proper. So let me create. Let's do this. Let's do an fs.join. Let me get. Give me a second. Just a second, please. While I try to set this my system. All right. So I want us to do a file read. We're going to do a file read using our FS. So yeah, so our FS provides the read file sync method. The sync, like the name implies, synchronous. So we pass in the file we want to read. I don't have this file, so let me just create this file. So I create a file .txt. Yep, my bad. And let's just put some random. This is the beginning of this file, and I cannot spell. So yeah, now so we want to read the content of that file. So basically, your read file collects, your read file sync collects the parts. Yeah, the parts of the file you want to read. Then the encoding, basically how it should handle reading the file. Nodejs. So let's go ahead and console.log our file contents. So yeah, let me just bring this up so we can quickly see that. So as you can see, we have this is the beginning of this file. So yeah, let me point our mind to something interesting, very, very interesting. When creating a large app, okay, let's do this here first. CLG first. So JavaScript is a language that runs single thread, and Node.js kind of like also follows that pattern. It runs in a single thread. So basically, what we are saying is each file takes it takes each line and it compiles. Each line is compiled and it runs it in a sequential order or in a synchronous order, as we see in JavaScript. So the first one, that is our console.log, happens first. Then our file contents reading now happens. But there's something we can do where we can do our file reading in an asynchronous manner in such a way that it's it's not going to be blocking. Because obviously having a blocking code is going to be very bad for applications. So most of the times you likely won't be using this. So you want to be using something so you want to be using what we call the async method of our read file. So fs.read file. So we're reading the same file. Yeah, thank you. So we have kind of like the same parameters. You have the file path, you have the encoding, then you have a callback that takes an error in case there's an error during the process. So if error, you can just console the error that. Then here we can console the log our data. Basically, the data is what is being read from that file uh, in the proper encoding. So now, like I explained earlier, let me move this down so that we can see. Okay, you know what? Let me uncomment this guy out so that we're seeing the same thing. Let me comment this one out now. All right. So, like I've explained, since JavaScript runs synchronously, this line 15 will run before the line 16. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Sorry. This is what I wanted to do. Let's be on the same page. So yeah. So the file contents, like I've said, is a blocking code. This operation is a blocking code. So that means we're expecting this to read to log out first before this logs out. So yeah, you see that. So now this operation, like I said, file reading is a very expensive operation and a very large operation, which Node.js is using the benefit of C++ to give us that functionality. Now, this our console log is a very basic operation that preferably you want it to have run without it waiting for this larger operation. We'll probably look at this when we discuss event loop. So you prefer it to have run before waiting for this operation. So now let's look at this using this async method instead and see the benefits it gives us. So I'll comment this guy out as well. So using the async method, using the sync method, obviously, the read file consoles first before this basic operation consoles. But now using the async method, that is without the sync, just fs or read file, we now have this privilege of having, as you can see. So we see that this operation comes first before the file reading now happens. So that is our fs.read file. So I've given us both. Yeah, I've given us both the async method and the sync method of the read file. So we can also do. Let me console.log this out. Yeah, so we can also write to file. The beautiful thing that C++ are giving to us, JS developers. So we can write to file. We can do an fs dot write file. sync. So almost kind of similar to what we have there. So let's call this file one, and we're writing hello world. This was written in code. Then you pass in the encoding as well. So basically, you're giving it the data, then the encoding. This encoding by default you can actually omit it. By default, it uses the UTF-8, but kind of like standard process, you can leave it as well. UTF-8. Let's not disrupt the balance in the world. Right, so let me clear that. So if you run this operation, obviously this is a synchronous operation as well, so blocking code. So I want to believe you can hear me. Can anybody notify that you can hear me? Hello, can anybody hear me? Hello? Hello, can anybody hear me? Hello? I want to be sure my network is not down. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I'm back. Yeah, so I ran that operation, our FS, the right file, and as you can see, we have our file 1.txt written for us there. And if we check the contents, yeah, we have what we wrote in there. So this is a very interesting function. So in the same breath, it also has the asynchronous method, which is kind of similar to what we have done here. So let's just do the asynchronous method. FS writes file. I don't know how to spell anymore. So yeah, you give it the path or the name of the file. Let me call this file 2. Let us keep it up like that. .txt. Yep. Then what do you want it to write? Then you have your error, your callback that picks up your error in case there's any error during the process of writing the file. So if there's error, it throws the error. Let me console the error. Don't need any train now. Though likely we won't be having any error. Console.err. Have our error. So yeah. So let me run the process again. So we have our file to create. So this async method follows the same explanation we gave earlier for the read file, in the sense that it doesn't block code. It follows the event loop process, and we're going to look at that like I've explained later. So let me see if there's one more thing that we can quickly touch on before we call it. If I step into HTTP, it will now create our HTTP server. Yeah, we'll get to all the interesting parts later. For our right file, you can just go ahead and just pick up. Just go ahead and just look for materials on that. How you can append to a written file instead of overwriting the file. So our current method now, once you write to a file, it's erase what is there. But you can go ahead to append to a file. So let's just go ahead and look at our HTTP module. So, interesting facts. I noticed that people do make this mistake quite a lot. Let me just create this file here. You do not need to install the HTTP module because Nodes has already provided that for us. So yeah, so we're kind of rounding up now. So we want to now create an HTTP server. That is the point. So we have our const server, and I don't know how to spell const again. So our server is equals to HTTP. Yeah, HTTP dot create server. Yeah, requests. Yeah, let me get this right. Is a callback and our response. Yeah. Okay, so we're utilizing the built-in HTTP module, and what we've simply done here is we've created a server. Now, our server has been created, but I want it to be listening. That is, I want it to be ready to accept any request that is coming to it, and so I pass in a port that I want it to be listening on. Yep. So, like I explained earlier, that was during first class. We all servers at times are computers, and servers at times just the application itself. So we have created a simple HTTP server, and what we have done is, oh, okay, yeah. Please remind me that I should touch on events during the next class briefly. Touch on events emitter. So we've created a server, and kind of like JavaScript is kind of like an event-driven, has this event-driven kind of architecture. So, and what we've done now is we've now set our server to be listening. So that means that, like I've said, anytime request comes in, our server is ready to handle the request. So let's do a rest. Let's just do a rest though, right? Hello world. And we end our requests. All right. Yeah, so now let me start this. So node HTTP. Okay, you know what? Let's do this. I want you to tell me it is running already. So let me add a callback. So CLG. Come on now. This is our template feature. Alright, please bear with me. I really don't know what is happening. So your server is running on okay. So yeah. So now let's start this our server again. Yeah. So and like this, we have a server running. We have set up our simple HTTP server, and this is kind of the basis of what we are doing when we start doing API creation and the rest. Sums it up for us. So let's just test out our guy. So let me switch over. Let me switch over to my browser. All right, so I see my browser. So I'm going to run this on localhost 3000 because that is the port I opened, and we can see our response. Hello world. Let's check this out in our network tab as well. So let's just okay. Honestly, I don't know why my system is acting this way today. So yeah, let's just bring that request again. So like we said during API creation, what we have is we have our response. Sorry, we have our request, then a processing, then your response. So we have this. So we can even do something. Let's just do one more thing interesting. Let's say um, rest um, give me a second. I'm trying to honestly, I'm trying to pick up what I wanted to do. It didn't just keep my mind now. Let me. All right. Okay. Yeah. So let's do this. So let's come back to the terminal. Sorry, to VS Code, and let's just do make slight changes to our. Just slight changes to our code. Ah, it's true. Oh, it's here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to set a write head for our code. Basically, when I say write head, I want to set an header for our code because earlier, okay, I'm going to point. We are going to see that now. So we have a res dot write head. I'm going to set it to have a status. Um, then I'm going to set a content type of um, contents. Oh, patience, patience. Content type of our text slash HTML. Yep. So I want to send an HTML from our body. So let's do this. Sorry. H1. Close our tag. And I do not know how to close tag anymore. Alright. Then we end that process. So okay, let me start up the server again. Okay, yeah, so our server is running. And now let's go into the browser and let's see if what we are looking for does happen. So we make a request to that same port, and voila. So as you can see, we have our response being handled properly. So this is what I wanted to point out. Okay, luckily I still have this previous network request where we were just sending a text. So let's look at the headers. We have the request URL, which is the port we made available. Let me get this again. So we have the method, which is a get method. That is basically the method that we are handling. We have a status code of 200. We set our status code to 200, but by default, the status code is always coming at 200 if there is successful response. All right, then okay, yes. So that is it. Content type wasn't handled, but in this case, let's now come into this one. Yeah. In this case, we set our content type to the text HTML. That is why we now have our hello world being displayed using our. You can even inspect it to see that it did send an HTML for us. Wonderful. So we have our H1 here. So that's it. We've created our simple HTTP server. That's what today's class is. So from next class, I will touch up on event emitter because you know what? Before we end this class, let me just point out the concept of what we have here. So like I said, we have our HTTP server by default. Our HTTP module by default, which we use in handling server requests and responses and the rest. So and to start a server, we create a server using the http.createServer method. So after doing that, we call on our REST or what I just simply did here is just you handling your response properly. That is all. The rest of the end, this right head is just to set an header, and the rest of the right is the what I want it to send. There are different methods which you can call. For example, from here we could have just called res.send or send and so many other methods. So yeah, then finally, which is where I'm kind of going to. So this is our server kind oh, sorry about that. I'm outside. Okay, yeah. So this is our see this guy they whining me. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So this is our server, yes, like you said, is we've created the server. So what we now did here was we now decided to open it, and we open it on this port. Now every computer, like I said, sometimes server can be referring to a computer, and server can just be referring to an application. So let's say now, currently now, my system is standing in as a server. So it's my machine, but it's standing as a server. That's why you see the oh, I just realized I wasn't sharing my what is it called, my VS Code. But basically, shall we get the idea? So like I said, what I was saying here is I was trying to explain each line properly. What I was trying to point out is we have our server.listen, and what our server.listen simply does is it kind of like subscribe to our server and ensure that it routes and handles any request that is coming in under this port, and it handles it properly. That is the whole point of our server.listen. And yes, definitely, there are so many other methods you can call on your server. You can see it once you call it, you have a server.on with different events. So the server.on is kind of like an event emitter, which is why I wanted to discuss events. We'll discuss it in the next class. So we can just end the class here today. We've looked at kind of like the core of Nodejs, and we've already created our server. Then from there, we'll step into our using Express, the joy of building a web server. Yeah, that's it. Is there any questions, any issues, or anything where I not discuss that you're expecting to be discussed? Talk, feel free. Go in the class. Are we all good? Wait, can you guys hear me? Hello, can anybody hear me? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Alpha, AB, can you hear me? Wait, it's only me that cannot hear.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm saying we are done. Is everybody fine? Any questions? Any issue you want to raise?
No, I don't
Are
have
we
any
all?
question. I don't have any
Oh,
question.
okay. All right. Thank you very much. Please remind me your event emitter. We should discuss event emitter in next class.
Okay, I'll remind you.
Yeah. Read one. Are you good? I can't hear you if you are trying to speak. Oh. But let's end the class here. So everybody, good night. Take care. I'll be on my way. My system is about to die.